There is none other name under heaven among men whereby we must be saved. There is no other way except by the way of that cross. I want to tell you something. If there had been another way of salvation, Jesus would have never died on the cross.
Everything we do is by faith. All right, take the same faith, put it in Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, and you will know who Jesus is.
The Reverend Billy Graham, also known as America's pastor, was the first religious leader to have a memorial viewing at the U.S. Capitol.
Well, Reverend Billy Graham was an American evangelist and went around telling people the good news of Jesus. I think he started his public ministry in the mid-1940s with an organization called Youth for Christ. It was primarily a youth movement. And for decades, preached all around the world to literally billions of people. I was just reading today.
So, all right, so last week we were talking about Reverend Billy Graham and how the profound impact he had on the lives of billions of people around the world. He was a friend to presidents.
Yes.
He's the only person that we know who was friends with every president.
Mm-hmm. For many years, when I, as you know, I work as a chaplain with political leaders, and so someone, when I was just getting started, said, "Hey, there's this book I saw called Pastor to the Presidents, and written about Billy Graham." And so I was able to read about his relationships, you know, all the way back to Dwight Eisenhower and FDR and Lyndon Johnson, right through to his Clinton years, and. There's something to be said about the challenges that come with leadership. Mm-hmm. And on the one hand, there is no one easier to criticize than a politician.
Of course.
There's no one easier to criticize than a politician. But at the same time, these are just ordinary people trying to do something that needs to be done in our culture and in our political system, mm-hmm. which is to step up to serve. Mm-hmm. And and then they find themselves in positions of high office, like the U.S. president. Arguably the most powerful office in the world.
Yeah.
And they have lots of things to talk about. Mm-hmm. Everything from the Kennedy assassination, and certainly there would have been conversations about with his friend, who became a very good friend, Lyndon Johnson, and helping him process through that and transition from a secondary role into a primary role, to Bill Clinton with the Monica Lewinsky situation, and again finding pastoral comfort and mm-hmm. counsel mm-hmm. and solace in a wise and respected man.
Yes, I remember when Jim Baker went to jail, and I remember how everybody was so critical of him, very judgmental for a long time. And I was watching one of his interviews some time ago, and he said Billy Graham came to visit him.
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So that, to me, is a mark of a really great man who's a follower of Jesus.
Exactly, and on both fronts, right? So and just kind of along that line. So the same man who went to visit the fallen evangelist Jim Baker in jail, right, is the same person who, after 9/11, when the towers fell in New York, mm-hmm. and they had a memorial, not a memorial, but they had a service of remembrance. Mm-hmm. It was all of the air traffic. I think it was on the 13th of September in 2001. All of the air traffic in America was shut down except for one civilian aircraft, which carried Billy Graham from North Carolina to Washington for that service. Yeah. And so it speaks to the capacity of this man to visit the fallen, broken man in prison, and at the same time speak to the nation in what might arguably be its darkest hour.
Right, because I believe he was probably the only man that could bring the nation together at this critical moment. Mm-hmm. Yeah, how amazing. 300 million people, there was just one man that they could think of who at this critical hour could bring everyone together and give them comfort and hope.
Yes.
So how amazing.
It is really a remarkable thing. And he didn't do that just with American presidents. He met with Queen Elizabeth at her invitation, I think several times. Yes. Met with her privately, prayed with her, preached in the chapel at Buckingham Palace. And those are all remarkable things. And again, really, I think if Billy Graham was sitting here today, he would say, I'm just an ordinary man, that God has given me the opportunity to do something like this, and I'm just trying to serve him to the best of my ability.
What do you think his legacy is going to be?
Oh my. Well, the Billy Graham Evangelistic Association has an incredible footprint and are doing great things. I mean, it's a different day, and it's different than the massive crusades that Mr. Graham would have done. But his legacy to perpetuate his message and his values. I was thinking about this the other day, that one of the things that he did was he would do a school of evangelism. So he would invite pastors in, and you could get a scholarship, which basically paid for the entire conference. All you had to do was show up, and you had to get yourself there, and you had to show up to all of the sessions. And I mean, he would have invested into the lives of hundreds of thousands of pastors and ministry leaders who went just to learn how to share faith, how to present the good news of Jesus in a clear and concise way that people could understand and respond to.
You know, what a great ambassador for the gospel.
Exactly.
Right? Because when you read the gospel, you read the message of Jesus, that's the only message that can bring hope in the world and peace in the world. Right? Love your enemies.
Yes.
It's a radical message.
It's a very radical message.
Right?
Especially in this day when it seems like everybody's angry all the time.
All the time.
Right? And if we could just love people instead of be angry at them, wouldn't it be so much better?
Right. Love your enemies. You know, pray for those who persecute you. Right?
Exactly.
That's how you bring peace. Right? And so I can't think of anybody else who embodied this message more.
No, I'd agree with you.
Yes, than Reverend Billy Graham. So we have lots more for you, for those of you who are joining us now. This is Chai with Molly. Stay with us. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much.